Hey everyone, it's me again. So it's a debrief time. 2 days since my Checkride. I wanted to go over what happened, my experience, give you a little insight. And by all means, I can do a Q&A if anyone needs to, and explain what happened next. So hopefully this is going to be the last vlog video I do like this at my desk. Hopefully I'm going to be able to start doing more in the plane on myself and with other people as I take them flying. People have already asked me to take them, and I'm giving out that form to them to fill in. Whether that happens or not, we'll find out. So it took me 2 days just to get my head back in gear. My experience playing chess in the Rhythm League really came in handy because it's all the exact same tools and everything that you need to be able to play chess seriously is exactly what you need to fly. And for the entire period during the oar and the flight portion, I was focused, I was thinking, concentrating non-stop. That the entire event, it has been seared into my brain. I'm going to be able to remember every last detail for years to come. And it was weird because as I try to explain, physically I wasn't tired at all, but mentally I was drained, exhausted. People were congratulating me, talking to me after, and I was barely, I don't know if I was even coherent, basically, like if what I was speaking made any sense or not. My former instructor was like, can you put down everything that happened on a Word document, and so you can help other students in the future. So I got home. He wanted me to do it that night because it's been his experience that people forget what happens. So I wrote it up, and to me, in that mind frame, it made complete sense. Well, next day I looked at it again and like, did it heck? No. It was like complete gibberish almost, and it showed me in a way that was completely a demonstrative form that my mind had given all it had. I was on autopilot. My mind was exhausted. My body and everything else was perfectly fine. It was doing chores, feeding the fur babies and taking the doggy out and stuff like that, but basically I was on autopilot. So I wanted to give a congratulations to Russ Can Fly because he got his PPNL, and the reason why I brought him up here and then is because, as I said in his comments, he flew to Lancaster to do his Checkride, and then he had to fly right back after. There is no way, having experienced what I did, that I would have been able to do that. So the fact that he was able to do shows that he's the better pilot. Because there was just no way. So I was fortunate enough to get the Checkride done in one day, basically. So I went up a little bit early. So the original start time was 1 p.m. and I went up there early so I can get myself settled and stuff like this. And I was positive that I had my hood with me. Like, I made sure that it was in my bag and stuff was there. Somewhere between leaving home and getting there, they disappeared, they vanished. Fortunately, the Checkride, the DB said he was going to be a bit tardy, and he pushed the start time until 3. So that allowed me enough time to get all the way back here, get the Jepson hood that I got with the instrument kit, and found that to be much more better than those clip-ons, even with glasses. So little things like that throughout the day showed me that things were going my way, like not the way that I intended or originally thought, but things were working out the way, because I was going to use those, but events prescribed it so I would use the other kind of hood. And the other kind of funny thing is, like, I have no sense of smell, none at all, and it's been mentioned a number of times that they've never experienced that. So the chances of me getting an examiner who also had no sense of smell, I found that remarkable. But like during the oral portion, he was trying to give me a hint, like tapping his nose, and I didn't pick up on it. He's like, "You have no sense of, do you have your sense of smell?" I was like, "No, I lost mine years ago." And he goes, "Like, me too." So the chances of me coming across an examiner that also had no sense of smell too is beneficial, because it was someone that understands that I have no sense of smell. I can't smell fumes. Like that was like one of the oral questions is like, how can you tell there's something burning or something like that? He was tapping his nose, and I was like, I have no sense of smell. I can't smell gas. I can't smell smoke or anything. But it was really good. So when we got in, I had emailed all of the documentation prior, so he did all the medical, the checking the IDs and stuff ahead of time, to make the process go a little bit faster. To me, it only seemed like an hour of that, but from what I saw that he marked, he put it down as 1.8, so almost 2 hours for the oral. It went by really smooth, and I know it proved that I knew my knowledge stuff, but the way that I slipped up that I would caution others, I think it was it was either because I was so focused on the test itself that I was focusing all on these big questions that I was expecting to get about weather, that I got tripped up on something as simple as, what does FM mean inside of a TAF forecast? And like, I couldn't, like, he was like, what does these numbers mean after it? Like after all the weeks and months and years of studying, to get tripped up on something so simple, I was focusing on all of the big stuff and overlooked the little simple stuff. And so that was a good little sneak peek, because I was so focused and ready for these big questions about the different types of icing. What does the types of clouds represent? What do you need for a thunderstorm to occur? What are the 3 stages of thunderstorms? And big questions like that. And then I got a little question like, what does FM mean? And like, duh! Like, it took me until I looked into the file in to find out that it means from. And that was the other thing that I was going to suggest as a tip, because I made the mistake of using, I wouldn't say a mistake, I have the file aim on my phone, but I didn't let him see what I was doing, so he had no idea if I was looking on Google or if I knew how to use file aim or not. I did have the books, but I'm so used to the electronic version that I just prefer to I just prefer to use the phone, because I'm a technical person. I had the flight briefing on my laptop, and I brought up for flight, went through the briefing. It was fine. So after I brought up the weather briefing, you went through that. It was asking me what directions of the winds were going, and the reasons and what the certain airspaces, restricted airspaces, and the one they picked had 3 different time slots. He was asking me who we would contact, and what time zones, what the times are. With the flight portion, we started off straight away with the cross country. The one thing that did play an important role is that the weather briefing showed clear VFR weather, and he was asking me about the weather minimums for VFR, and that became important for the flight portion, because even though it was VFR, 3 statute miles is not a lot, and it became evidently clear because it was another hazy day. I don't know if it was because of low air quality, because of the wildfires or pollution or whatever it was, but when we was up there, it was really hazy. It was towards the afternoon too, so it could have been that the sun set and produced the haze. But it was, the ATIS were important VFR conditions, and then on the return back to Allentown, it was clear below 2000, but still VFR. So we headed out, taking off 24. The first waypoint was the Queens Airport. And I got a big kudos for using the count up time on the transponder. Apparently I'm way ahead of other people that was doing it. The fact that I did it and used it put me miles ahead of everyone else. So that was good. So I got so it was like about 30 seconds, because I forgot to start the timer directly as we got the clearance, but I remembered it after I took off and started it, once I was done with the takeoff. Then we got my first waypoint, and normally by then I could see my next waypoint, which is Kutztown, which is a VFR waypoint, but because of the haze I couldn't. Like, I could normally see all the way to Reading from Queen City at 3,000 feet, but you're lucky if you could see 10 miles out. And somehow I managed to get off course by 20-30 degrees a little bit, but I was able to correct myself. I was able to get it back on. It underscored that they are not looking for you to be perfect, they're just looking for you to be safe. Like, the first thing that I need to worry about is flying the plane. And when they got busy between switching to Allentown and Reading, somehow I got confused with the frequency for the radio. And I went outside of the range of the altitude, but I noticed it and corrected for it. And it was commented on that he liked that my main focus was flying the plane, not worrying about talking to the world or the radio. And then I went back to the previous frequency that I was on, asking for the correct frequency, and I got told to stay with them anyway and to descend to 2,500 due to traffic. And then after that, they switched me over to Reading. The DPE took over then and just let Reading know that we're on a checkride, we're going to be doing maneuvers, so we terminated flight following. And then with the ownership on the iPad turned off still, we did a diversion from where I was to Kutztown. I could have used the GPS on the plane, true, but it was good that we did it that way. It was like 71 nautical miles, 14 minutes, and then you pointed out the ground speed on the Garmin 430. So yeah, I was able to give him the direction and the distance and speed and the time and the ground speed that was also on the iPad that I had, the full flight. And so we came into Kutztown. The first approach to landing, I should say. I did the enunciating calls because I'm not too familiar with non-towered airports, put it that way, but I know what to do. So on my first time on turn to base, I really overshot the final, and I was way out that I decided that I wasn't going to be able to recover and be safe about it. So I just immediately started to go around. I said, I'm going around. And that was one of the things that I was proud of myself with, because I've always second guessed myself before. Like, I always wondered if I did the right thing or not. This time I didn't hesitate. I just went for it. And it was coming on that it really showed that I had command of the plane. The only thing is that I went a little too slow with the throttle. Because it's an older airplane, we were told to go gentle on the throttle. But I was told that when you're doing the go around, that's the time to ignore it. Don't bash the throttle forward, but just be smooth with it. But because I go slow just so I know I don't hurt the engine. He understood what we were doing and why they wanted us to do that, but the fact is, when you're doing a go around, you want to get up into the air and be safe. So I went around, landed. That's when, once I was clear, I turned the ownership back on. We did the taxi, and that's it. So I can do more on the debrief, but I won't bore you too much. But basically, I passed. So what happens is they get your student card gets a nice little hole. So there's actually 3 ways. They say one of the questions is, how does a student certificate expire? Well, the only official answer is if you don't have a valid medical, or after 60 days, 60 months, that's when your third class medical expires. But the other way is, once you immediately pass your private pilot Checkride, they put a hole, and that expires your student, because you're a private pilot now. So finally, what happens next is you wherever you want to go to rent out an airplane, you do a checkout. You contact the FBO or the people that own the aircraft, set up an appointment, go fly for an hour, do a little bit of ground instruction, and go up, do some steep turns, pardon me, and then come back in, and then you're endorsed for that particular plane. So if I want to go fly Cessnas, I don't know why I would, but I would have to go and get another checkout for that particular plane too. Well, that's it. Yeah, so that was basically all it is. So yeah, today is the 27th. It took me this long just to be mentally prepared enough to do this. I'm gonna be doing my